It's Chris Hoke, brought to you by Greater Pittsburgh Plumbing, Super Bowl champion, and football analyst extraordinaire. Hello, Hokey.
How you doing, brother?
I've never been better, and I appreciate your inquiry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're always so kind that I thought I'd just ask and let everybody hear how you're doing.
Thank you. Do you want to inquire as to Ron's well-being?
Cookie
or has that already been taken care of?
We've been chatting off the air here
Yes.
a little bit. I'm doing okay.
We're on the same page.
And Hokey made me feel better already just by being here.
I'm going to hit you right away here, Hokey.
You did this last week, too, so I'm getting used to it.
I know. I'm going to hit you right away with the AFC North.
Yep.
Steelers are in last place as we speak. Are they going to finish there? Like, we have the Bengals, Ravens, and Browns. A lot of people consider the Bengals now to be the favorite. The Browns are very talented. Where are the Steelers going to finish this year?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not an easy answer. I think over the next month is really going to tell us where the Steelers are going to end up, right? You look at this at Cleveland this week, you got the Bears, you got the Lions, right? The Steelers, in my opinion, need to go 3-0 over the next 3 weeks. They've got to win these games because they have some tough games coming up after that. They got the Bengals again. They got the Ravens twice. They got the Browns. These are big games. And so these next 3 weeks will be telling on where they land in the AFC North. But you're right. I mean, Cookie, you and I have talked about Joe Burrow.
He's the real deal, man.
Unbelievable. And then the Jamar Chase last week having 201 yards receiving. And this guy's breaking tackles, breaking big. I mean, he leads the NFL, I believe, in yardage.
Are you buying the Bengals after what they did to Baltimore?
To go into Baltimore, I've played in Baltimore. I've played on that field. It is tough to win at M&T Bank Stadium. Tough to win there. And for them to go in there and not just beat them, but embarrass them on their home turf, that is an exclamation mark on that team.
I don't want to speak for Joe, but I think he kind of felt like maybe Baltimore wasn't for real despite their record. They won a couple. Maybe they shouldn't have. Were they exposed as being?
Well, it's easy to say that when they get blown out, right? It's easy to say that.
Are you still on believing
that Baltimore is always going to be tough, and as long as they have Lamar Jackson there, and he's inconsistent at times, right? I think we all admit he's inconsistent at times, but he can also play lights out football in big moments, and so when you have him there, and they always play with a physical identity. They love to be the bullies, and so when they can be the bullies and get up on you. They make it a very, very tough game to win. And so I think they're always going to be there at the end. Don't count them out.
All right. So what you know right now, I want you to give me an order of finish for the AFC North. What would be your prediction right now? Right now.
You're putting me in a tough spot here. I mean, you're trying to make – listen, I think the Bengals and the Ravens are going to be there at the top at the end of the year. I do. I think it's going to come down between the Ravens and the Bengals. And they have the tie record right now, but the Bengals have the tiebreaker, right? So they have a half-game lead on the Ravens.
Will the Steelers be in the mix going into the final couple of games?
I think that the Steelers will be in the mix. There's a lot of teams. They're not far out from striking
in the mix
distance.
For the division.
Not for the division. I think they'll be in the mix for a wild card, right? Because there's an extra team now that gets in. It's not 6 anymore; it's 7, right? So I think the Steelers have a shot at getting into the playoffs. I just think that they have a tough stretch there at the end of the season.
We were talking earlier, is this a bigger game for the Steelers or Browns? I said Browns because they're playing at home. You got to win your home games in this division, but not that minimizing its impact on the Steelers. Mm-hmm. The Browns got to feel like, where they are, they got to win this game too.
I think they both feel like they got to win the game, Cookie. I think they both feel they got to do it, and they're at home, right? And so I just remember Coach Carey used to always say, you want to win all your home games and try to still feel on the road. And that was when there were 16 games, and you end up being 11-5, right, 10-6, and you're in the playoffs. And so we want to hold serve at home and win those games. And so the Steelers, for them to go on the road and win this game would be huge for them. And I think they got a shot.
Tell me more about buying the Bengals. Clearly, Burrow's good. Yeah. Clearly, that offense is pretty good. But they too have quite a stretch coming down for them toward the end of the season.
They do.
Tell me about why the full buy.
I just think it's all about this. I think at the end of the season, I think that Joe Burrow will be considered a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's that good. I mean, I don't know how you'd go against that because the guy he's playing lights out football, and he's getting better every single week. And coming off that knee injury, and every week he's getting more and more confidence. He has a bona fide big-time receiver in Jamar Chase. And they have a long-time relationship going back to college. And he has and listen, Joe Mixon's running the football. You know that he can still run the football. This offense, the offensive coordinator that came back, that's running the ball. The last time Joe Mixon had his best offensive production was when he was here. I think it was 18 or 19. And so there are a lot of positive things that go in this offense. And when you have a franchise quarterback who is getting into his prime, I don't think he's there yet, heading into his prime, you are destined for success.
Well, they're better defensively too, aren't they?
They are.
They spent like $270 million the last couple
of
years. What's that? Jumbe? What's the guy's name from Cleveland? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's a player.
He can play.
He's a
he
player.
Can play.
And I mean,
he's getting a lot of tackles for a loss. He's in the backfield causing havoc even when he's not making plays. So so you need a guy like that. My guy Nick Eason's the D-line coach down there, and doing a good job.
Their defense is better.
Yeah.
They're not the Bengals.
They're not the Bengals, and the Bengals are the Bengals when you guys have guys that throw picks at inopportune situations, right? Or you have a guy who's going to fumble the ball. Yeah, you got some good players. Joe Mixon, their starting running back, and you got Joe Burrow. Now listen, injuries happen, right? They're unpredictable, and so I mean, if we're looking if they hold pat where they are and these guys stay healthy, I think the Bengals are going to be a team that are going to be tough to beat.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that we're saying that out loud? Believe. I mean, but it's true. You go into Baltimore and do that. But I still think, are they a 12-win team? 13-win team? I'm not buying that yet. They still have to
Starkey, they
manage this.
They went into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers. They
without
T.J.
Watt. Without T.J. Watt.
Okay. They went into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers.
Yep.
And they went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens on two of like the cream of the crop teams of the AFC North and beat them both in their home stadiums.
And it's early. And the Ravens needed a 66-yard field goal and a blown call to beat the Detroit Lions. I think the Bengals, here's where I'm willing to go with the Bengals. They're for real as far as being a contender in the division and a team that could beat you on every week.
So would you tell me you don't think that they'll be there at the end? You don't think that they'll be in the hunt for the number one?
Yeah, contender, I said, for the division.
Yeah. That's what you're asking me. I think it'll be between them and Baltimore. I think they'll both be there at the end.
I think the Steelers will be there with them.
I hope so,
I think the Steelers will win the rematch,
They better go 3-0 in these next
I'm not
games.
Totally buying in.
What's going to tell me? The thing is, they got 5 division games
They did
left.
lose to Chicago, too, by the way, the Bengals.
Yeah.
And they did need a last-second field goal, literally, as time went out, to beat the Jags. So I've seen a lot of teams in the NFL get off to great starts.
And the AFC,
I'm not a total buy-in yet.
No, and I'm missing. I think that they are on the rise. They'll keep getting better like everybody else. But the Steelers do kind of control their own destiny because they're right there in the hunt. They have 5 division games left. If they can win those games or win 4 of the next 5, the Steelers can be there. This is a tough division right now as I'm looking at everything. I mean, there's no gimmies in this division like it used to be when the Brownies were 0-15 or 16 or when the Bengals weren't very good. There's no gimmies in this division.
So how do you look at the Browns? Are they better off facing Case Keenum or a compromised Baker Mayfield?
Case Keenum looked pretty good last week. I thought he threw the ball around really well. If you listen to the people that know the Browns well, they say that Baker is able to push the ball down the field a little bit better than Case Keenum. But Case can hit the intermediate throws really, really well and throws on rhythm. And all they want to do, they're not a throwing team. They're a running team. They have the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. And they got, listen, Nick Chubb, it looks like he's going to be playing this Sunday. You got Johnson, Dearness Johnson. Did you watch that film last week? He was running like he was possessed.
140-some yards.
Yeah. The guy was breaking tackles. The guy was making cutbacks. He was reading holes. I mean, anybody that says that he wasn't running like a top running back in that game, he was all over it.
Hoke, that's why I have a hard time liking the Steelers this week after watching Seattle gash them with the run game. I don't think it matters if Mayfield or Keenum. They're going to try to run it with Nick Chubb. And I think Nick Chubb is almost as good as anybody not named Derrick Henry in the league. He is a big-time running back.
He's a big-time running back.
And they're going to try to pound him. And you have confidence that this defense can stop him.
And Cookie, you talk about Dearness Johnson. He had a great 146 yards, 22 carries last game on Thursday night against the Broncos. That offensive line, without Jack Conklin, right?
And he's going to be back.
He's going to be back. These guys, you watch them run that zone stretch, and they are reaching the guy that's just out and in that zone, and they are turning guys. They are getting hats on the second level. I mean, they're getting offensive linemen are getting hats on the linebackers. So these defensive linemen for the Steelers, Devin Bush, Joe Schobert, they better be ready to hit and shed and get across the top. And then the backside, outside linebacker, whether it's T.J. Watt or whether it's Alex Highsmith, they better come flowing down the line and not get straight up field and open up a vertical hole, because these guys can put a foot in the ground and get upfield so fast, and the offensive line is blocking very, very well.
So the Browns have had troubles. They also have a lot of injuries. They've had troubles on the other side of the ball. Yep. They've been lit up to the tune of about, I think, 80 points in their last couple of games.
They're still second in the NFL in defense.
So you like their defense?
Oh, no, I'm just saying. I mean, these guys, in the NFL right now, there's some explosive offenses that, in that it's I think it's more so than when I was playing. And so they get exposed at times. But I think overall they're number 2 in the NFL in total defense, excuse me. But in terms of the run defense, they're really tough against the run. They're number 2 against the run.
But let me ask you, Hoke,
Joe, Joe said something. Joe, he said something earlier that would scare me if I'm Steeler people. I think Joe phrased it this way. Didn't you say they dominate the mediocre teams' offenses and get lit up by the great offenses? I'm thinking the Steelers' offense is more on the mediocre side than the great side.
Yeah. Well, what they're going to try to do with the Steelers, because the Steelers, the last 2 games when they've won, granted last game, they got up and were fighting to hold on to that lead. They were more balanced in run pass, right? The 3 games the Steelers lost, they had over 70% throwing the ball. They passed over 70% of the time. Too much. They need to be more around 50%, maybe lean a little more to the run if they can. And lean on Najee Harris, and this offensive line is getting better, like we talked about last week. Every single week you're seeing it on the film. They're improving, and so they've got to run the football, but they're going to run against a defense that's pretty tough against the run.
Is that because teams pass on them easily, though? We're making
they're only numbers.
If you ask people in Cleveland, the Browns are one of the most disappointing teams in the league.
Well, because they're expecting the Browns to be
a juggernaut here.
No, I'm saying. I'm talking about their strengths, right?
Yeah.
And teams sometimes get out of position. They give up big plays, but I'll tell you that they in terms of they can run the football and they can stop the run.
But my question would be: do teams try to run on them? Like did Arizona when they put 37, Chargers when they put 47, Chiefs when they put 33? Did those teams even bother to try to run the ball?
I think, of course, they tried to run the ball, but they threw a lot. But even they're number 7 in the NFL in defense. Are they the best? No, but they are strong at what the Steelers want to do to keep winning.
So what if you're the Steelers? Are you going into this game even thinking about running, or are you trying to exploit the pass game?
Because you feel like you're getting better. You feel like you're progressing as an offense, and that I think that there are some matchups in terms of then they're studying the film really detailed about certain matchups where they can take advantage of a defensive lineman or a linebacker. But I'm telling you, I don't know if you want to run at Myles Garrett.
I was just going to say, who's going to block him? He bounces all over, right? Can Chooks handle him? Can Banner handle him? Can Dan Moore handle him? They're going to have help on him.
I don't know.
He's all over the place.
I don't know if they can handle him one-on-one, right? This guy, you watch him, and he leads the NFL in tackles for a loss. He leads the NFL in sacks, and he's in the backfield. And even when he's not getting a sack, he's knocking the tackle into the quarterback. So they're going to need to help out with Myles Garrett. They're going to need to, and we've talked about this. And Coach Tomlin is telling his team when they showed up yesterday for work on Wednesday and putting the game plan that when you play against a 4-3 defense, the key matchup is tight ends on defensive ends, and Freiermuth and Ebron and Zach Gentry, and coupled with those tackles, whoever those tackles are going to be this week on with Banner back, they've got to be able to control that edge in the run game, and then the pass game they've got to be able to help out these tackles because you don't want Myles Garrett to take over the game.
How would you explain the Steelers' success against Myles Garrett? I think he has 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, no forced fumbles in his past 4 games against them, including that playoff game. Have they double-teamed him, triple-teamed him?
I think he also has 1 quarterback knockout. Right? When he swung his helmet at Mason Rudolph.
Yes, he did have that.
Yeah, part of what helps has been getting the ball out quickly. Right? Ben last year, they gave up very few sacks. I want to say last year they gave up 15 sacks the whole season. Is that what if I remember right? And so, Ben was getting the ball quick, and so it was more difficult for him to get to him. But right now, with Ben trying to push the ball down the field and maybe trying to work it more in the middle, as you hope that he will after this bye week, he needs to make sure he gets it out just as quickly because Myles Garrett's coming.
He is, isn't he?
Coming.
It's funny, though, against the Steelers, I mentioned he hasn't put up big numbers except for really one half of one game again. And against the Ravens, in 8 career games, he has 1.5 sacks. So those two teams have really focused on him.
Matchup problem. Yeah. I need to look into that more deeply.
It's getting nice and spicy in here early in the show today.
It's a little warm. You're making me sweat a little bit.
We have Salem's coming in. Ooh. Which I know you like.
Oh, yeah. I was down there. I was down at the Grill Marketplace last week.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Did you go in the butcher shop?
Yeah, and I took some of their meat home, and I grilled them up on Sunday afternoon, and the meat is just tender and delicious.
Tender? It really is.
I'm starting to saliva. I'm starting just to drool here just thinking about it.
Now, did you order what we're having today, or was that a fan
I'm not
vote?
sure what they're bringing.
Horse.
I'm not sure what they're
bringing. Do we
bringing.
know what we voted? People voted for us today? Or is it a smorgasbord?
I thought one of the choices was a wing platter. I wouldn't mind those wings.
Wings were
good.
So good.
I'm telling you, they had these skewers, right?
Yeah.
And
wing platter one.
Fillets on there with some veggies, and I cooked those up. I got a couple steaks. And man, I was licking my fingers.
You ever eaten alligator meat, Hokie?
I
Pig's brains?
No.
Horse's hooves? What's the most unusual
Oh, listen, I lived in France for 2 years.
You've had?
France and Belgium. So when I was 19 and 20 years old, as a missionary for my church, and so I ate frog legs, right? I ate some horse. I ate some cow tongue.
Ew.
That's what that's I ate over there.
You say you ate
horse? Nah, it's just like this. You put some sauce on it. It tastes like
Joe Cobb winced when you said you ate a horse.
Oh.
I covered the Olympics.
Horse better stay away from me.
I covered the Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, and dog is very big.
Oh,
dog is
I
very.
wish
Now,
I'd never
they didn't allow them to serve it while the world was there.
It wasn't like a neighborhood dog, was it?
I don't know what it was, but they said it's a delicacy over there.
Unbelievable.
What
dog?
Oh, what? Like a little. I don't even want to ask.
Don't ask, Joe.
Don't ask. We don't want to go there.
Nuggets? Dog nuggets?
I said they didn't have it. I didn't try it. They banned it when the world was there, but they told us it was a big delicacy. Dog. Now, some people will say, what's the difference between dog and a cow?
Dog and deer.
Or a chicken or deer. It's just what you're used to eating, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if people think, who eats deer? Who eats deer meat?
Yeah.
Venison.
All this sounds delicious to me. I love meat.
Dog does?
Not dog. Not dog.
That's only because
you're talking about venison. You're talking. I mean, thinking.
Would you eat a squirrel?
This just sounds odd to me to eat a squirrel. It does.
Not a lot of meat on those little things.
Why do we differentiate, though? I wonder.
I think it's just our paradigm. It's our paradigm, really, and how we see things and what we're used to, right?
Would you eat a chocolate-covered ant?
No, ant.
Those exist, Ron.
Chocolate-covered
grasshoppers, chocolate-covered ants.
I need a chocolate-covered marshmallow. That sounds good.
That doesn't count, Chris.
I'll tell you what.
It's my dog's
chocolate-covered Twinkie.
Today.
You ever had a chocolate-covered Twinkie like one of those?
Oh, those are so good. There's a place near the Steelers facility on the south side that serves homemade chocolate-covered Twinkies.
Get out of here.
It's unbelievable.
I never even heard of those.
Yeah, maybe they need to bring some by the station.
I will.
No, maybe they need to bring some by.
Oh, well, I'll go get some and bring them for you next week. We'll have dessert after Salem's.
Yeah.
All right, Hokie.